Well, hello, and welcome to ZBrush Live. I have a little bit of a cough, so if I'm a little dry today, I apologize. Hello, this is Kermaco Designworks, hard surface and character design with ZBrush on ZBrush Live. Oh man, hope this gets better or we're gonna have a very short stream. Anyway, I just wanted to see if you guys can hear me and see my screen. As always, like, subscribe, and leave a comment. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them during the stream in the chat, and I'll answer them for you live. And if you have questions after the fact, you can always leave them in the comments, and hopefully somebody will get back to you. I check them every once in a while, and so do folks from Maxon. Okay, so if you can leave, if you can hear me again, please definitely let me know in the chat. I just need somebody from YouTube and somebody from Twitch to chime in, and I think we'll be good to go. All right, so let's go ahead and bring this up. We're going to be continuing on this kind of mechanical soldier or bodyguard or kind of, you know, multi-purpose multiple-purpose personal robot. So this is the second episode. We built it up to the stage last time, and today we're going to be taking it further and developing the different pieces. And I think we're probably still going to stay in primary forms, maybe some secondary forms today, but that's basically going to be it. Okay, Comics Legend, thank you very much for saying it sounds good on YouTube, and I'm assuming it does sound good on Twitch. Otherwise, somebody would say something, and so we can probably go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's see, what do we work on next? Let's do a little bit of work on the head. I'm just going to sell that out. Oh. So already I can see that I have a problem. I probably redid this, and I don't have my symmetry line anymore. So the best way to do that is just to use ZModeler and delete the edge loop that's in the middle. So just delete it. And then if you just mirror and weld it again, it should put that line right in the middle. Okay, so that's one way to fix that. Now, if this was too complex of a model, you could always just select this middle line. This is another way to do this exact same thing. You just select that one or mask everything else, and then put the gizmo, make sure the gizmo is at the center, make sure you're not in perspective mode, and then you can just do this, which basically makes it into a straight line. But if you do that, though, it's still, as you can see, not in the middle. So you can either move it and adjust it, or you can, you can just kind of do a, kind of just bring up maybe the floor or something where you have this line, and you can just align it this way, right? So if it's aligned that way, and if you've resized it a few times in the X direction, it will kind of be in the middle. But I usually just like to do mirror and weld just because that ensures that it's in the middle, right? So now I've got this, and we're going to look at what to do with this part. Okay, so one thing I do want to do is take these back. Oops. All right, so we just turned the fill back on for polygrouping, and I just want to group these four and push them back, hue mesh them back like this. Okay, and then maybe take this and move it back a little bit as well. Right, so I want to move it back, but if I move it back this way, notice that it's not going to be aligned, so I just need to make sure that my gizmo is aligned with that top plane, and now it is, and now I can just move it back. All right, so Comics Legend, you're asking about panel lines. So yeah, if you ask Paul, Paul's a good person to ask, and he's done presentations before where he's done panel lines, and he's got multiple ways of doing it. And I think in the last stream he also did them. I'm pretty sure he did. So I would definitely, you know, I mean, Paul would definitely be the person to ask. Now, I approach panel lines in a different way in one different instance, right? So I don't know if he's shown this way of doing it, but I have one more addition to the things that he does. And I do use the things that he does all the time as well. But the way I do panel lines, and usually if I want it to kind of be out of, you know, some panel lines will agree with the topology. Like, for example, if I want to do a panel line here, that would be easy to do. If I wanted to do panel line here, it would be easy to do. But if I wanted to do a panel line that went this way and this way, there are different ways of doing it. One way of doing it is to use this way of doing it. So you basically go in here and you choose the knife curve function. Okay, and always quick save before you use the knife curve. It's kind of, it does crash every once in a while. Some water will help. So for example, if I wanted to put panel lines on this guy and I wanted them to go this way and this way, what I would do is I would hit the space bar here while I have Control and Shift held down. And what I want to do is I want to use the brush radius. So now if I do the cut here like this and like this and let go, it does this internal part. Well, two things. One, that's not the part I want. I want the opposite side, A. And the B, I don't want it to be that big. So I'm going to make this a bit smaller like this. And then I just go over like that, get it to where I want it to be, and then press Alt down and let go, and then that cuts that panel in there as well. Now, as you can see, it does create some janky geometry, so you probably want to subdivide your model a few times. So I'm going to duplicate this and work on the duplicate, and I'm just going to insert some edge loops here just to kind of give me some topology to work with. So I just put one there, that's all good. And then I'm just going to go in here and subdivide this thing with smooth off a few times, right? So this is basically what it looks like. It's about, I don't know, 335,000 polys. Maybe I'll go one more. Okay, so it's 1.3 million, that's good. And now if I do what I did before, and suppose I want to do something really funky like that, and hold Alt down and let go, it's going to complain that I have too many subdivision levels, of course, so I need to delete the lower ones or freeze them. Okay, so there it is now. And it's too busy topology-wise, so I don't really need the polyframe on. And then if I do this, oops, forgot to hit Alt. Right, so that's kind of, it cuts a panel line that way as well. I don't know if he showed this way of doing it, but that's one way of doing it that I would do. And another way, which is kind of a similar thing to this, and that is if I want to actually have a bit more control. So this is kind of a hard thing to just get exactly the way you want it. And then once you have it, like, I can't really do anything with that top part or anything like that. So this does work, but what I want to do with the cut lines is, and also, by the way, you can do this as well, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to do B radius, and I'm going to turn on split to parts as well. So now if I do this, what? Oh, it doesn't keep it, I guess. All right, well, I stand corrected. I thought what would happen is that inside part would stay there too, but I guess with B radius it doesn't. However, if I don't want to use B radius, I could turn B radius off. I can do it this way, right? So now it just split that into a separate part. So I can move this a little bit over like that. And now I've kind of created a panel as well going that way. You can also use panel loops. I mean, there's so many ways of doing this. But the last one I want to show, and this one's kind of not something that happens a lot. I tend to use this sometimes too, is what I do is I just go in here, and I'm just going to take this back all the way to where it did have subdivision levels. And actually I'm going to go all the way back. And what I do here is I go, okay, well, which way do I want to cut the panel lines? Let's say this way. So I Q-mesh this out like this, but hold the control key down, so it just basically gives me that plane, right? And then once I have that, I'm just going to say split to parts, and then I have that plane as a separate part, but of course I put it here. I'm going to turn solo off for now so I can see this. And what I want to do is I just want to make this plane, first of all, I want to get the gizmo to kind of be aligned with the plane. So I'm just going to pop it here like that. Okay, so now I know that the gizmo is aligned with the plane, and now I just want to grow this polygon this way, right? And then this way as well. And this is going to be basically my cut line, but I'm going to do it a different way where I actually take this plane, and now I want to extrude one edge here. So I'm going to go here, edge, extrude, and I want that edge to be free angle, but I don't want to have free sides. I want to have I want the sides to be parallel. Number of rows, I could choose that. 5 is good. Snap to surface, no. Okay, so all this is good. So now all I'm going to do is just do this, right? I'm kind of doing something similar. But with this, I could get a little bit more sophisticated. So what I could do here is I could hit spacebar and go to insert. And let's see. Insert an edge here and another edge. Oops. So doing inset, I want insert. Insert and inset are, oh, well, no, it is on insert. So why was it insetting? That's weird. Okay, here we go. That's 1, that's 2. And what I want to do here is I want to Q-mesh this edge out, but I want to hold the shift key. So now I kind of have a plane that kind of, let me turn double on this too so we can see it on the other side. So I can do things like this, but that's not exactly what I wanted to do. What I wanted to do was to extrude this out like this. Okay, and then I'm just going to solo this so I can work on it. I'm going to turn double on so I can see both sides. And I don't need this inner plane, so I'm going to delete it. And I also don't need these ones. I'm going to delete these ones too. And then all I need to do here is just select these points. Right, and I know that this is parallel to that, so I'm just going to bring this over here. And these are the points I don't want to have be selected. Okay, and then just bring these. Right. I want the whole thing to be masked, except these points right here. And so I could do, that's exactly the opposite of what I want to do. Okay, here we go. I could just kind of do a little bit of this as well. So I'm basically just making the kind of the extrude or the panel line profile, something like that. Okay, and then I just go in here, add some dynamic to it, not smoothing but thickness. Right, I just want my panel loop to be, it's a bit too much, about maybe yay thick, right? So now I have the two parts, right? And that's kind of the panel loop I want to cut out of it, right? So basically I'm making the cutting profile, which is this right here. And then all I need to do is just, I'm going to go to another view here. I'm just going to show these two and nothing else. Okay, so here we are. I don't know why the dude's showing up. Okay, and now all I need to do is just go in and use live booleans. So start a boolean here and subtract that from it. Turn on live booleans. And now I have that cut over here. Now what's really nice about this is you can make adjustments. So let's say like I want this part kind of in here to be longer. I can just go to here and mask this part. And also mask this part. And then just move this down, right? And notice here I'm just seeing the boolean of that, and that's really cool. And if I want this to happen on both sides, I can just mirror and weld it to the other side. Oh, what the heck? Is local symmetry on? No. And so what is mirror and weld on? It's on X. This is X. Okay, so that should work. That is very strange. What is going on? Okay, so let's go ahead and turn off live boolean so we can see what we're working on. There it is. There it is. Let's center this. Okay, and let's mirror and weld X. Okay, I don't know why it's doing it that way. And also, I don't know how somehow something got bent as well. I think when I moved that down, this part here wasn't fully masked. So let me do that correctly. All right, here we go. And now what I want to do here is I just want to mirror and weld this thing to the other side in X. Is this X? Yeah, it is X. Okay, so mirror and weld X. All right, that is very strange as to why it's not just mirroring the object to the other side. I think what I'm going to do here is just solo that. Okay, so we just have this object. There is our symmetry line. There's the floor. Everything is good. This should mirror exactly the same on the other side. But let's try and do mirror. Oh, it's masked, that's why. Mirror and weld, here we go. That's what was going on, is I had partially masked it, so that was the issue. And now if I turn live boolean back on, there I have those really nice clean cut lines. And the thing about doing the boolean is you want to make sure that the geometry is the same. Now here, both of these have low geometry. If I do the boolean now, I'm going to get some really janky edge loops here, or not edge loops, but edges. So if I have this very high resolution, then the only affected areas will be very small. And then I can, you know, the problem with this way, of course, of booleaning is you're not going to get those kind of cool corners, but I've got ways around that as well. It was the knife curve, not the slice curve. The slice curve does other cool things. So if I use slice curve and I hit the space bar and I do B radius, that kind of does a neat thing too here. And I'll do that to this part. So, you know, knife curve or slice curve does this, which is kind of similar too. So you can use that to do panel lines as well. So let's say I want to do one this way. Let me turn symmetry on. Here, I'll just do a straight line like that. And where's the fun in that? Let's say I'm going to do one like this. Okay, so I'm just going to do that. Now what I'm going to do is I turn B radius on. So I'm going to again hit spacebar and let go. And now I've got this part right here, and it's a different polygroup as well. I'm going to turn live boolean off for a minute. I also don't need these parts. But you can see what it did is it just created this little area over here. And what you could do is you could just go in here and polygroup these as their own thing. So polygroup, single poly, this one, this one, this one. And you can see here, oh, that's because symmetry is on. Like, why is it? Okay, so this, this, and this. And what you could do is you can Q mesh these inwards, and then that would give you, so let's say you did these three here, and then you just go to Q mesh, polygroup, island, and then you just push these in, and that gives you some panel lines as well, right? So that was the way to do it with slice curve, and then knife is what I used. So knife, where are you? Knife curve is what I used earlier. And by the way, these are recorded, so you can always go back and watch them. All right. How do you, oh yeah, the size of the legend, yes, it is the brush size, comic legend, that it is the brush size. That is correct. So if you do a bigger brush here, like I chose a bigger brush size, and I'm going to hold spacebar down, do that, you can see that that's a bigger band. And now if I make the brush size smaller, or the draw size, and do this, now it's a thinner cut, right? So yeah, that is how you do it. It is with the brush size. Okay, back to where we were. I don't know if I need both of these, and I don't even know if I want to boolean the thing the way I did it. But I will keep that cutter, these things, because I might use them later on. So I'm just going to go here and hide those for now. All right, so back on the head here, and I'm going to turn polyframe off and see what we can do. Kind of want this top part to be straight, so I'm just going to go to clip curve and find a good angle for this. Bring this back. I'm going to turn off fill for now, or just so I can just see the, and also let me change this color here to be something a little bit darker so it shows up better. Here we go. You know, knife is messy, and that's why I said definitely save before you you do it. I'm using just the 2025.1.3. It's the latest release. So yeah, it's the knife's gotten a little bit better, but it does still crash, and so that's why I always recommend that you save before you use the knife curve. Just do a quick save up here. I don't know if you can see it. I think the thing is up there, but yeah, you know where it is, the quick save. All right, so now I'm just going to add a section down here. Yeah, 2022 is good. I still have it on my machine. There are some clients that I work with that don't have upgrades yet, so it's a good idea to keep that with you at all times. And yeah, just gonna Q mesh this out a bit like that. And I'm going to add a bevel around this corner. I'm adding a manual bevel here. I don't usually, but in this case I am. And I'm going to insert another bevel over here. Like that. And I'm going to Q mesh that bevel inwards. So I kind of have that little bit of detail, and this is not detail I would get into at this point, but I'm deciding to do that. Yeah, and I've already regretted it because I want to make some form changes, specifically over here. I thought I already did make them, but I'm going to see if I can get away with it. Let's see. All right, so let's activate symmetry, select that, move my cursor over to it. Okay, I should be able to do this. I wanted this to be more of an angle like that, and I think I'm going to get away with it. That's why I always want to leave doing secondary and tertiary work to later parts, but in this case, I think I was able to salvage the situation. All right, I'm just coming up with some ideas for how this head should look. I'm going to Q mesh this out a bit, see if that helps. And do the same here. Nope, that wasn't a very good thing to do. And what I want to do is I want to see if I can take this edge right here and slide it down, and I want to do it all the way around. All right, so again, I'm trying to keep this as low poly as possible. That's kind of, you know, part of how I work, is I try to be as low poly as possible for as long as I can. All right, I think this one I'm just going to try to do a slide edge. See if I can get this back a bit. Excuse me. Yeah, in 2022, I think the knife curve was okay, but yeah, I think they've definitely done some work on it recently to make it better in the kind of the subscription releases. All right. again break my rule here and put a bevel on the bottom of this. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and turn fill back on here because I want to create a poly group that's going to be the top of this thing. And separate it out. Okay, so I'm going to just pick these polygons right here. And I want this to be its own thing. So I'm going to Q-mesh a poly. So pulling it out this way. Oh, I don't want poly loop. I just want a single poly, right? So with the control key, I basically created a temporary poly group. And then I want to Q-mesh all polygons up. No, just this one, poly group island. Up this way. All right, so I'm just going to create like a little kind of top part over here. That's not connected, but it is connected, but it's kind of a separate thing. And it's going to be like some sort of a solar panel, radar dish kind of thing when I get around to it. But for now, that's good. And what I want to do is I want to make this a little bit smaller. And to do that, I'm just going to use this technique, which is using inset. And let's see how that insets. Flat island. Changing the poly group so I can see better. All right, this is good. I mean, yeah, for the most part, it's good. I just need to figure out how much of it I want to shave off. Now, the problem with this is it kind of creates some knots over here, which I am not very happy with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and use the legacy way of doing this and see if it works better. And it does. Okay, so now I just want to split these two parts. And I want to take this part and solo it. Oh, what happened? Did it not split it to parts? It did. Where is the top part? Here's the top part. Okay, so what I want to do with this is I want to do the top like this until I get something I want, like I want, and I'm going to do the same thing to the bottom part. And then I just want to take this out, this poly, let me do this too, poly group, poly loop, so you can see it better. It's going to go that way. All right, well, it doesn't matter. I'll just Q-mesh these one at a time. So I'm going to go to Q-mesh, single poly, and then push this through, and hopefully this is happening on the other side as well. Nope. Right, so it kind of gave me a problem over here. How about this? Nope, problem as well. So I don't know why it's doing it. Maybe I need to approach it from the bottom or stop at some point. Here we go. Yeah, that was it. Right, same here. Okay, and last but not least, that. This kind of stayed, but that's okay. If I've got one side that's working, I can always mirror and weld. All right, let's do these back parts. Okay, and I'm going to keep that little thing that happened over here because I think it's kind of an interesting feature, but it's easy enough to fix. I could just collapse it down. Okay, so this side is working, and so I'm going to try and mirror and mirror. I should probably mirror and weld. Nope, of course not. Every time I do this in the opposite order, it works. Okay, so there we go. So now I've got this top part, and I just want to make sure everything is good with it. Let's do a quick check mesh. Yep, it's good. All right, so that's the top part. And so I'm kind of getting close to getting the head to be the way I want. And again, I don't really want this to be too kind of detailed and too many things happening with it. But I do want to do one other thing to it here. To this part, I'm going to add an edge loop this way. And let's see here. Yeah, I think that's good. And one more. And I want about this distance again over here. All right, and these are the two I want to Q-mesh out. Okay, so these are kind of coming out at an angle that way, and that's not what I want. So I'm going to move them down. Yeah, something like that. And I want to mask this guy too. And all right, I just want to. Oh. Let's get that to be straight. Like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this part right here. To come over this way. All right, so I'm doing this and I decided that's not how I want to do it. So I'm just going to go back and undo all that. And what I do want to do is do it in a different way, which is by hue meshing this polygon out and then giving it some thickness. Maybe before doing that, I want to rotate it. So I just want to get the gizmo to be on that same plane as that. Rotate it so it's, oops. Let me split to similar parts here. And what I want to do is work on the thing that I just separated out. Where did it go? Here we are. Just place the gizmo where I want it to be. Pointing this way. All right. And I want it to be perpendicular as well. So I just want to rotate it around this way. And I'm just basically trying to create some sort of a bar here, and I might not be able to do it, but that's fine. All right, let's just try this one more time. Okay, and then rotate it this way. Hue mesh it to give it some thickness, and then go out this way and bring this in. I don't know if I'm happy with what I'm doing here. I might just completely splash this path and figure out how to do this in a different way, but for now I think it's fine. All right. Okay, I don't want these back ones to move at all. And I don't want these inner ones to move at all. Right. And then I want this part to be thinner. It's going to be interesting to see if I can do this. More or less what I want, but let's see with everybody else. I think I'm just not going to do this part this way. I think I'm going to use kit bash parts for it. So I'm going just to delete it for now. Okay, so the head is pretty much the way I want it to be. I'm not really going to do much else with it for today. The only thing I also want to do is do one of these things. Right, this piece came out exactly the way I wanted, but here with this one, what I want to do is just Q-mesh this out a bit, Q-mesh it up, Q-mesh it up again. Oh. Q-mesh it up again. Q-mesh it up again, and then just bring this over. Just to create like a little bit of a thing where this is kind of connecting to it. Right, and I want this to be at the same angle as that. All right, let's get to it. There we go. Right, I don't need this to go all the way, so what I'm going to do here is just look at it and add some edge loops. Where are the edge loops? Okay, let's turn fill off. And I want this to go all the way to here, so I'm going to insert some edge loops this way and then just Q-mesh the edges in. Actually, I could just probably do them all in one shot. There we go. All right, so that kind of holds that piece in somehow over there, and then I'll have another piece over here that holds the front part. And so yeah, this is going to be some sort of a radar or something like that. And then another thing I'm going to do here is add some bulk to the head down here that bends down. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to Q-mesh this all the way down and then just do this to it. I want those lines to come straight down, but here it's coming down at an angle. All right, so the way to fix that is just to unmask these parts, put the gizmo over here, and rotate. Nope. This is kind of what I want to do, but I want that to be straight and then just bring it down and over. There. Okay, I think that's a bit too much, but easily fixed. Maybe a little bit even more. And I want these to be straight lines coming down this way, so I'm just going to... I'm using Clip Curve, by the way, to do this, if you guys don't know. Do I use Bevel Pro in my process? Not really. I mean, Bevel Pro is, you know, I think Bevel Pro has the best intentions, but I don't think it does what it needs to do. and it's kind of buggy and problematic and throws you into high poly. So I do use it every once in a while, but I tend not to use it because I could get similar results just by knowing what I'm doing with topology. But I know some people that basically, you know, use it in their they use it in their workflow quite a bit. So that's just me. But it's like another program, and it just kind of goes out to it, and you know, and it's got a, you know, a bit of a funky interface. So, but it does do amazing stuff. How do you do the align gizmo feature? You mean how do I align the gizmo to somewhere? Well, I mean, the gizmo is kind of, you know, you can press Alt and move it anywhere, right? And also, if you click on a point, it just puts it there. But the orientation, you can change it. So if you press Alt down and click, and then you can just move your cursor to another point, and then I know that the Y here, the green, is aligned that way, right? And then if I want to align the X as well, I can just go around and again press Alt down and rotate this so the X is aligned. Some of it is manual, some of it is automatic. So now the only one that's not aligned is this one. Again, if I hold Alt down and rotate this, so I just move it over. Now it's going to come in at that same angle, and then just move this over. So now I've got all three rotated in the directions I want them in. Well, I think this one's still not exactly where I want it to be, but close enough. Yeah, this is not at a right angle. That's why. Over here. So that's how you do it. You just press Alt down and move the gizmo to where you want it to go. All right, so let's see how this is looking overall. It's always good to kind of, you know, at some point go back to the whole model to see how it's coming along. And that's good. I think the head is looking pretty decent for what I want. It's a little thicker than what I want it to be like, so I'm going to try and do it this way. So here's a perfect example of using the gizmo. So I want to make this thinner. So first thing I want to do is unmask it. And then basically this is the angle that the thinning has to happen in. So I just click here, the gizmo, and move it down to the way I want it to be, like about there, right? And then I just shrink this down. All right, then move this whole head up a bit. All right, so now I want to move these two top parts. I'm just going to do this trick where I just turn the pizza boxes on, select what I want to move. And it looks like the legs are coming along for the ride. Don't need them. That's weird. Is this part? Okay, here we go. It's masked. Okay, so that just kind of moves this up to here and maybe rotate it a bit like that. And that's good. And then maybe bring it forward. All right, that's good for the head. Let's move on to a different part now. Let's move on to... let's move down to the midsection over here. Like this piece and this piece, basically these two. I think they're separate. Right. All right, let's hide some stuff. Actually, let's go to another view here and bring everything back. All right, except we don't need to see the dude or the floor or the previous stuff that we had. All this can be hidden. Okay, so here, let's see. I don't want to see this one, so I'm in view number 3 here, and I just I'll click on the things I don't want to see and hide them. And let's move on to the arm here and hide it as well. this part. And of course, eventually what I will do is I will put these in folders so I can just do this whole thing that I'm doing now, and just by hiding the folder, hiding the entire arm structure. Let's pick that. All right. Okay, so we're looking at that. I don't really want to see the legs either, so I'm going to turn those off. You know what's kind of funny is I'm doing this thing, and they're like real life versions of these things being built all over the place. I don't know if you guys saw, there was a video of a robot this week that was doing some sort of a kind of a combat move where somebody was attacking it with a stick, and it kicked the stick out of his hand, and that was pretty wild. It's only a matter of time until these things are fighting each other. Like you know, I don't know if you guys used to watch those robot fighting games where people build, you know, their own robots, and then they just put them on the ground, and they, you know, usually have saws and like things that rotate and knock the other piece out. Robot Wars or something like that it was called. And everything happened in a cage, and they had you know, they have like remote controlled robots that they were doing, but like it'd be cool to have something like that but be autonomous. All right, is this all one piece? It is all one piece. All right, do we want it to be one piece? We do. I guess we do. Let's see if we can. Is it one piece? Split to parts. Oh, it's not. All right, well, I think I don't want it to be one piece, so I'm going to separate it out. All right, and I want these parts and these parts to be separate. So split hidden, and oh man, we don't want to do that. Yeah, I'm just going to choose the select rect. The reason I'm redoing this is because there was a part that I missed. So one polygon, these top ones. All right, so I have two split hiddens. I've got the previous part over here with that part missing. I don't need that one. And then we just have these two, and it's easy enough to close this up. So here I'm just going to bridge, close it, bridge. Actually, what I'm going to do here is I'll try close hole and see if it's decent enough. Probably not going to be, but it's low poly, so it might work. Nope. Delete hidden. Did I delete the hidden stuff? No, I didn't. Okay, so just partially hidden. Okay, so there's, why isn't it closing the hole? What if I don't have symmetry on? Does that make a difference? I think that was the problem. Nope. It doesn't want to do it that way. All right, well, there's two ways I can do this. I can either mirror one side to the other, like the front to the back, or I can just use bridge, and I think I'm going to do that. Bridge from here to here. Oh, symmetry's not on. Okay, and then I'm just going to add an edge loop. Here. Okay, so these are not welded right now because if I press D, you will see that there's that gap, and I don't want that gap, but it seems like there's other junk here on the side that I don't want either. No, it's good. Okay, so now I just want to go and say weld points. I think I have that in my thing. And now, oh, they're not close enough to be welded, and that's wild. This is such an easy problem to solve without, or actually, I can always use stitch also. Here we go. That fixed it. In a way. No, it didn't. Still didn't fix it. Okay. What's going on here? They're not that close. Okay, so a way to get around that is there's a weld distance here. You just bump that up a bit. And let's see. Alright, so something is happening, but not what I want it to. Like, I think there's like some weird thing happening over here. You can see there's that overlap. I don't know why that's there. I'm going to try a check mesh. Oh, yeah, there we go. That's the problem. Fix mesh. Okay. And that totally messed it up. So when I return to this, it's fine. But when I do that, something is not doing what it's supposed to do. I'm just going to delete a single poly here. And I think it thinks that each one of these is one. No, yeah, see there's like some other thing there. All right. Easy enough to fix this in a different way. What I'm going to do here is stitch this down. That's the problem. There's like some other polygon in here somewhere that's causing the issue. Yeah, that's it. There's this thin, yeah, see, that's it right here, thin polygon that's causing the issues. So now that I deleted that, I think we're going to be good. All right, so I'm just going to do this differently. I'm just going to do an extrude and edge parallel. All right, let's see if this works. Yep, come on, snap. Is there another one of those things over here too? There is. There's like a weird border. That is, where did that border come from? That's wild. Okay, not a problem, easily fixed. Yeah, there's like some kind of extruded border over there that was causing the issue, but now that that's not there anymore, I think we should be okay. I should be able to just extrude from here. But that creates a little bit of that kind of lip. I wonder if the close hole works now. Let's see. Sometimes that gives me enough geometry where I just have to delete a few things and I'm okay. And sometimes it does not. Here, I think I got that problem with that one thin edge. Okay. Do I have that everywhere? Yeah, there was like a mild inset that was kind of there. Okay, so I just need to, I think I got it. All right, close hole, let's see what we got. Yeah, see, close hole did a decent enough job here where I can go in and do a spin edge for this one. Let's turn symmetry off, do a spin edge. No, all right. Last but not least, I'm going to try and bridge again. Bridge. Edges without symmetry. I think that was kind of what makes me up, is like it did two of them. And I'm going to do another one this way. It's kind of tough to scratch that exact edge. Works better with a stylus. All right, here we go. Got the wrong one. One more time. It might be easier to go from here to here. So I'm going to, wow, that's not good. Twist it around. I think if I can't get what I want this time around, I'm just going to do this, the other thing I told you about. So here I want to cut a edge loop, insert multiple loops, one, cut this in half. These are the kinds of things that drive me nuts trying to do them in ZBrush, which they would be so easy to do in Maya or some in Blender. Just single edge loop, pop that there. Okay, so I think that side is good, and then I'm going to do the other thing that I talked about. Okay, so here I'm going to do the weld points. Press D. Okay, that's all good. It's still got that funky stuff going on over here. What is the deal? Okay, I'm going to take this all the way back and bring it to the point where I didn't have that back part. All right, so here I'm going to do this a different way. But the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to go ahead and insert an edge loop, multiple edges, cut this in half. Okay, so, and then I don't need this bottom half. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete poly loop, get rid of this, delete island, get rid of this part. Right, so all I'm left with is this. And why did it delete the inside part? That's weird. Just delete this. Okay, so now I don't know why it's taking that inside part with this part right here. If I delete poly loop here, that should just go. Okay, and then, but it opens this up, which is weird. But this is easily fixable, I think. Just because if I bridge this one, it's fine. Let me do a fix mesh to this as well. I don't know if there's any other funky stuff going on. Yeah, I don't know if I'd like that twist there. I don't know why it's doing that twist. Delete island. Okay, so if I do D here, that's fine. Okay, so now this should bridge with this and it should be okay. Now it still wants to come in at that weird angle. I wonder why. All right, let's do fix mesh one more time. All right, so this side worked, so I'll just mirror and weld it to the other side and we should be good. Okay, so now this is good. This is the real tricky part right here. The real tricky part is I want to mirror this in the other direction, but it's got this weird angle, right? So I do the thing with the gizmo where I get it to be on the plane I want it to, which is right over here, right? And then I center it on the object. I have to do one more alignment, just this. All right, so now if I mirror and weld it, it should mirror and weld correctly if I do local symmetry and dynamic. Let's see if that works. And I want to mirror it in Y. I think, no, in X. There we go. I'm close, right? The only thing is it wasn't close enough, so I just need to move the gizmo up a bit to here. Mirror and weld again, and here we go. Got what I wanted. Press D. Perfect. Okay, good. Jeez. All this work for this little ability to close that hole, but I did get it, so I'm good. And here I just want to bevel out, Q-mesh out this poly group island. Create an edge loop there. That's kind of the piece that we created. Now let's do this one. And this one I just need to close this area. Same kind of a problem that I had before. So I'm going to try and do bridge 2 edges. This and this. And I'm hoping this, my technique, yeah, see, this is what is bugging me. When I close these two up and I move to the inside, like it gives me that other line. I don't know where that other line is. So something, I think this might have some of that residual little geometry in there as well. So another way to fix this is, let's see if this will work, is just to knife it closed. And I'll add a bunch of geometry though that I don't want. Okay. Try the extrude once again. Extrude to here. Yep. Come on. Okay. And then same. Perfect. Oh, not perfect on one side, but again, mirror and weld. That did it right there. Okay, so now I've got that part closed off as well. And trying to look for some reference here to give me a good way to do that part. Oops. All right, I think I found the reference image that I'm going to, I don't know why this thing keeps popping. All right, here we go. Okay. I like the way the gesture is, if it, excuse me, going backwards. I think that's good. Continue on with it. All right. For this piece, I want to do some other things. Should turn symmetry back on. Something like that. I'm going to turn symmetry back on. That's weird. Symmetry's on, but it's not acting symmetrically. Oh, it's because it's still on this. Okay, here we go. I think that's good. I want to bevel this area. Yeah, I don't know what the kind of impetus for Bevel Pro is. Like, I mean, it's kind of nice to get some nice bevels on a hard surface model, I guess. And I know some artists that really like to use it, but personally, I think I like doing things a little bit differently. I think if you don't know anything about topology, it might be super helpful. But if you do understand how topology works, I think you're okay. All right, so I'm going to move on to this chest part over here. It's kind of similar in that way. All right, let's go back to everything. Let's see how this is coming along. I'm kind of being very cautious still, not making any kind of big decisions because it's still kind of in the mode of development, so I don't want to do anything too drastic detail wise, because I want the big shapes to work first. All right, so they're probably, I don't know if I'm going to put like a ball joint over here, or if I'm going to put one of those hexa kind of, you guys know what I'm talking about, those kind of gimbals that move it around. So I haven't decided on that yet. All right, let's work on these shields. I have a good reference piece for that, of how I want to do it. Now with these kinds of things, it's at an angle, so it's going to be hard for me to work on it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to duplicate this. And what I'm going to also do is delete by symmetry, so I just have one of them. And I'm just going to make a central one and work on it. So what I want to do here is I want to get this to be rotated so it's kind of facing me. So I'm just going to put the gizmo this way, just get that plane, and I want that plane to be so I'm just kind of making adjustments here. It's not really very precise, but it's good enough. And have it do this. Okay. So now you can see it's still kind of not 100%, but now it is. Okay, and rotate it this way. All right, let's get the polyframes on it. I'm going to go ahead and make the color a little bit more saturated here, so it looks better. Okay, that's about good enough. And to straighten it out further, what I'm going to do here is I'm not caring about this piece right here. So I'm going to just keep like this facade, delete the rest. And I'm going to take that facade and flatten it. So I know it's planar, like that. Then let's make sure our horizontals and verticals are right. It helps if you turn polyframe on for this part. All right. And I mean, I guess this inner part is okay. I don't mind it. But I wanted to kind of have another part that goes this way. So I'm going to use slice, mesh, slice curve. Let's do that slice and extrude this out, extrude edge. Right. And I want to make sure this is planar. Angle. Just take that out. Something like that. Right. double on so we can see both sides of this thing. And let's make this part a little bit longer. Okay, so this is going to be kind of a shield on the arm, but also is going to, you know, it's going to be kind of like a protective shield on the side. All right, so now that that's good, I can just go ahead and I think what I'm going to do here is add an edge loop around it. Okay, let's get some thickness. Not smooth, but thick. Just about there. Okay, let's apply that, and then, nope, before I do that, I wanted to add an edge loop that goes around it. So there's two ways I could do this. I could either inset it, which is what I'm probably going to do, inset and flat island, and do that this way. Okay, this is the legacy way of doing it, where it creates these little carrots, which is not what I want. So I'm going to inset it with the new way of doing it, which is the equidistant. And that creates this, which is more along the lines of what I want. Okay, good. Right, so I've got the dynamic on. I'm going to go ahead and apply it. And I want this to be kind of like two plates. Okay, so, and I want this inside part to be connected. So in order to do that, I'm going to do a thing here where I'm going to polygroup all these the same polygroup. So this one, oops, polygroup a single poly, this, let's pick a different color. I can speed up my work just by going in here and saying polygroup fill. There we go. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to do go ahead and create one more polygroup, or not polygroup, but QMesh poly loop here, and do this. I'm going to create one more edge loop. I just want this edge loop to have one edge. Let's see here, it has two. I just want to have one. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and polygroup all right, that's what I want. And then this one here too, and this one. Let's just do polygroup single poly and just get these ones, because I know these inside ones just don't have looping, but the outside one does. Okay, and then I just want to QMesh this out. QMesh polygroup island. You guys kind of get what I'm trying to do here, hopefully. And okay, so now what I want to do is I want to mirror and weld this in X. So first I want to mirror it, and then I want to mirror and weld it in X. And I want it to be further back this way. Here we go. That's what I want. Right there. And if I press D here, And I don't need thickness anymore, but I do need some smooth subdivision levels just to see how this would work. Okay, so I probably would need to crease it, and I'd probably need to do some work on the topology, but for now I think it's good for what I need. And then over here I'm just going to close these ones up. So I'm going to Q-mesh these up this way. Let's turn on symmetry. Kind of want that to stop, so I'm going to go in this direction. Okay, so that just closes that up over here. And let's do that over here as well. Oops. All right, that worked. And I'm going to turn polyframe off to see what I'm looking at here. And I'm going to change the color of this guy to like being the blue. Right, so I'm just going to switch to dynamic here, add a couple of smooth subdivision levels, and then do a Q grid on it, just to get kind of a nice looking shape like this. Okay. All right, remember this is still very low poly, so if I want to make certain things, like I want to change this part, I still can do it in a very non-destructive way. To get kind of more along lines of the shape that I want. All right, what's been going on? Let's see, did I see anything interesting? We had the Oscars here last week, which was, it's always a fun week in LA when the Oscars are happening. And if nobody got the memo, low budget movies are the thing now. So both Anora, which was a kind of an independent movie, made very cheaply, and Flow, which is another movie made really cheaply, both won Oscars. Boy, it must hurt like being from Pixar. I'm sure the guys were happy for the people who won, but like being from Pixar and having some small company win that award must not have felt too good. All right. Again, it's very low poly, so I can do some really interesting kind of adjustments here. To get exactly what I need. All right, so this is where the part is going to kind of be in its home stage. And I have that here, home stage, and then I can move this to where it goes, which is over here. And that's kind of more or less its destination stage, right? And what's good about this is like I can just kind of put it there. And both these are, where are they? I have them in kind of my UI over here to the right, but they're also, I should show you guys where it is in here, which is position. No, it's not the position. Home stage, and tool geometry. Yeah, it's under geometry. So tool geometry and stager. Okay, so this is the target stage, right? So I got a home stage and a target stage. I can switch. So here I can just put it in the middle, do all the work that I need, and then just switch stage and put it back where it is. This is super, super useful. Another way of doing this is, I mean, just working on it here, but using local symmetry as well. But I kind of like having this ability. I think this is super useful to just kind of switch between the different stages. All right. So now what I want to do is I want to put some holes in this. So let's get this back to its home stage. Solo this out. I want to put some holes in this thing, and that's going to be a bit tricky just because I was going to use the stitch function, or the, not stitch, but this one, the split option, and do this. And it's really easy to do over here, but I want to do the same thing over here, and it's not going to be as elegant because these pixels are too close together. So there's different ways I can do this. One is just to use booleans and just cut in. And another is to not have holes. Let me see here what would be the best way to do it. This thing looks pretty kind of solid. All right, I'm just going to use my brush here and pop in some cylinders, and then I will decide what to do with it later. I just want to do the placement of them. So here, just one cylinder. All right, that's good. Let's make it longer. All right, so the gizmo is kind of bulky here. It's getting in my way. I can't see the cylinder too well. So for that, what you could do is you could go between different gizmos, and I think I've got a few here. And there was one, I think Damien, standard guy, Damien Cadril, made one, and it's thinner. So next gizmo, next gizmo, next gizmo. Here we go. Of course, there's no previous gizmo. Go through these gizmos, and this one works. Kind of, maybe. No. Let's pick another one. Here we go. This one's kind of nice because it's thinner. And so what I'm going to do is just use Control and move and place these where I want them to be. But I don't think this is where this one should go. I think it's going to go here. See, this is another reason why I like having this be in the center, because you can center things pretty easily. So I want this to be here, and for kicks I just kind of imagine it to be thinner. Okay, so, and maybe a little bit thinner this way. Here, by the way, I'm using my primitives brush, and I guess this would be a good time to talk about this. Just to find my browser window that it's in. Where are you, browser window? Please tell me I did not close that browser window. No. This one. Okay, here we go. All right, so as far as my works are concerned, if you guys are interested in seeing my works, the best place to go see them is on my Instagram. And the Instagram is just instagram.com/Kermaco, Kermaco. And here's, some stuff that I'm working on. You can always see, you can go back in time. There's quite a bit of stuff. And if you can drop me a follow, that'd be great. I'm trying to get to 10,000. I know I'm at 2252, but I organically want to grow it. I don't want to get some service or whatever. I actually want to get real people. So if you guys see this, and you want to keep up with what I'm doing, just follow me here. Another reason why it's good to follow me on Instagram is because you can go here to my link tree, which links you to all of my websites. So you can see my portfolio on ArtStation. So you can see my works here. Now this is my portfolio, and you can get a contact me and all that stuff on here. And again, that's all in my link tree. But I also have a Gumroad, and that's what I was talking about earlier. I've got this primitives kit, so there's two of them. One of them is the Pro version, and one of them is the standard version. The standard version has 17 primitives, and the Pro has 36. It just has some extra bits. You don't really need the Pro one. If you're just a casual ZBrush user, you can just get the free one. I've got my UI colors on here too. And so this is on my Gumroad, and instead of remembering kermaco.gumroad.com, if you just go to my link tree, it links to it. And that's the brush I was using over here, so to put this cylinder down. Now there is a primitives brush in ZBrush, and it is decent. The only reason why I made this is because I wanted polygroups on it, and also if you look at the geometry here, let me solo that out. You can see that this cylinder is all quads. It doesn't have that stupid pole in the middle that a lot of the primitive cylinders do, right? So that's why I decided to make this kit, and it has polygroups as well, so it is definitely kind of more of a primitive kit for power users. All right, so I'm just going to use Control here to move these different ones of these to different locations. See, this gizmo does not have the corners, so the planar kind of, maybe this is it. Yeah, okay, it does have them. All right, here we go. Let's say this one goes here. And I'm just kind of creating a bunch of these, and maybe this one goes over here. And I was kind of intending for these to punch holes, but it kind of looks cool like this too, if it's just kind of coming out as well. And here I'm just using Control to just make a copy of the cylinder. And maybe put one here. And maybe put one here. So here all I'm using is just Control and dragging to create a copy of the spheres, and then, or I mean, I keep saying spheres, but it's cylinders. Cylinders, and moving them here. Okay. All right, so we have all of these kind of cylinders there, and what I want to do now is separate those out into their own thing. So I'm just going to do a select here and just select a little part of this. Control-Shift-A does all of it, and then I want to split the hidden. So now all those different pins are separated out. So if I unsolo this, they're still there, but they are a separate subtool, which is good. And now I want to go back. Actually, let's turn transparent off. Wow, the neighbor's kid just completely had a meltdown. I can hear him through the walls. I don't want those to protrude that much. I think about this much, maybe a little bit more is enough. And again, I'm still to decide whether these are going to be holes or if they're going to be if they're just going to be poking out. I inadvertently hit something that I didn't want to hide, so we got to get that back. Right, so there are all these pieces right here that I don't really want to see. So all I want to see are these two, and then I want to hide everything else. One of the things I really like about Photoshop is I can just click on these eyes and drag, and it will turn all of them off. And I don't know of any other program that does it so elegantly. All right. Okay, so some last minute adjustments on these things. I think they're mostly okay where they are. All right, I want to do some work on this. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want, with this kind of shield part, I want to duplicate that. So I have a copy of it. And what I want to do here is create some sort of a pattern on there, because they never really have sheet metal be straight like that. So I'm going to do that sculpturally. And there are different ways of doing this, of course, but I'm going to decide to do it sculpturally because topologically the lines are not where I want it to be. Right, so for that I'm just going to go ahead and apply the dynamic subdivision, and it's going to kind of give me this topology, which is okay, but it's not really what I want. So I want something that's more evenly divided, and I'm going to take a chance here and go in here and delete the lower subdivision levels. Again, I got a copy of this, so I don't really care. And I'm going to try and do this. So I'm going to turn line off, and I'm going to try and polygroup this in such a way where I can zero mesh it and it would give me what I want. I wonder if I just, no, I mean, there are certain polygroups here that, you know, basically are pointless, so I'm going to get rid of those. So I'm going to go back to this, and I'm to ZModeler, and I'm going to go ahead and polyframe for a minute. And what I want to do is I want a polygroup island, and I want this group, polygroup island. Okay. All right, yep, that. This one as well. I'll turn line off. Fill on, okay. And then this one over here as well. So I'm just trying to get these polygroups just to not be their own thing. Because I don't want, you know, I don't want topology separating those out. And I think for the most part this should be okay. So what I'm going to try and do here is I'm going to try and get this shape, but have it be a shape I can sculpt on. Okay, so right now the topology is like all sorts of, you know, weird kind of angles and thin parts and compacted over here. So I'm just going to try and do zero measure. I'm going to try and say keep the same. Keep the groups. Don't polish too much between the groups. Detect edges. And for good measure, I am going to, well, let's see what this gives us. Right, so let's just hit zero mesh. Would have been a good idea to back up or to save before I did this, but it's fine. Here we go. That's not too bad. No, that's not bad at all. Okay, so now I've got a sculptable piece that basically has that same shape. Now it has this weird funky thing happening over here. I don't know why. But if it doesn't have it happening on the other side and this is symmetrical, I can just mirror and weld it, which is what I'm probably going to do. It has the weird pinch over here, but I don't know what that's about. Okay, so I could, for kicks, see if I can zero mesh it one more time at half to see if I can get the same shape with lower topology. Again, forgot to save it. Not bad, but again, it's giving me this weird thing over here, but it's not too bad at all. Okay, so now I've got the same shape, but it's sculptable. And what I mean by that is I can do things like subdivide it maybe a couple of times. And then I'm just going to come here and pick this mask. And I'm just going to go ahead and, do I have symmetry on? Let's turn symmetry on. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and find, let's bring those cylinders up. Good, it went ahead and did a thing, it's save. All right, so there it is, and I just want to make sure that these two are the only things I'm seeing. Yep. And now I want to build some sort of a pattern on here. So I'm just masking, trying to be a little bit careful, but not too precious, and you'll see why in a minute. I'm just trying to figure out what kind of shape I want there. Actually, I'm going to do a different trick to this. All right, so what I just did is just masked the side, and then I'm going to see if this works. I'm going to shrink that mask down. So I'm just going to go to the masking menu here. And I'm going to shrink mask, sometimes dilute mask. Here we go. I'm just going to have it shrink and dilute. Oh, I want to do shrink all. Shrink mask, dilute mask, and then just kind of have it do this. All right, that kind of gives me a better framework for what I want it to do. But I still am going to do some manual stuff here. Again, I'm being a little bit too precious, but it's fine. So I just want that. Yeah, I don't know if I even want to have that part over there. Having a pen display while doing this really helps. Okay, so remember you can hold shift down, so you start with control, hold shift down, and that gives you more of a straight line. Right, something like that. Right, and then now I just want some lines to go through here, so I'm going to make a consistent brush size, and let's say one line that's too big. Okay, so this is kind of janky on the corners and everything. If I want to clean this up, it's easy enough to do. What I need to do here is just blur the mask and then sharpen it, and then blur it again, sharpen it, grow a little bit, and then shrink it, blur it, and then sharpen. Okay, so that kind of gives me a little bit more of a, some more defined lines. Let's blur it a few times, just once. And I'm just going to do a little bit of cleanup here. And then another thing I like to use, and doesn't always work well, but it works better with certain shapes, but not all the time. Okay, so this looks more or less like what I want it to look like. Maybe add another, it's just area over here that's just too big. And that's what I meant about earlier, about like sometimes I like using polypaint to do this instead of masking, because you can always mask by polygroup, but I started this way, so I might as well commit. Okay. I don't know why there's like a little indentation in here, but that's easy enough to fix later on. Okay. I think that's good. All right, so now I'm just going to blur this mask and invert it. And then just push it in a little bit. There we go. And then I get this kind of cool hard surface looking thing. Right, there it is. Now let's go to the view where we see everything again. And let's see what that looks like on the arm. Let's hide the one that's there before it. Okay, so this is what it looks like on the arm. It's good. It's not as clean as I'd like, but it's okay. Let's switch it back and let's clean it up. right? So, you know, I can see where it's not clean. It's not clean over here. So let me just sharpen that mask again. Oh wow, you guys are really quiet. There's quite a few of you. All right, masking. Yeah, I was going to show you that other thing that I do with masking, but let's clean it up first. Okay, I'm just going to sharpen this back and then blur it again. Sharpen again. The reason why sharpening and blurring works really well is it gets rid of some of those inconsistencies, but it also introduces more softness where I don't really want it. By the way, I could do this with alphas too. It works well. Okay. All right. So the other thing I mentioned was this thing where it rounds the corners of the mask, and I want to say it's either a script. Is it a script? Or it is a plugin under miscellaneous utilities, and it's where is it? Gizmo, move, scale, rotate, homepage, snap, angle. No, maybe it's not under here, but it is definitely, it does ship with ZBrush, and it's a command. Is it a script? And I have it exposed in my UI somewhere. I think it's either in, I think it's here somewhere. No backpack, get bash duplicate. Or maybe did they remove it? I mean, I think it was either a plugin or a script, and I think it ships with ZBrush. So yeah, I don't know where it is, but there was this thing that just basically said round the corners of a mask thing. Maybe they put it under masking. Go to unmask center. No. Mask region. It's not here. Mask adjust. By the way, this is kind of neat too. I can use this too, which is basically if I go to mask profile right now, it's like this, but I can change it to that. Say apply. Add some blurring to it. Apply. Know if that's doing anything. I can do tricks like this, but I don't really need to do this way. I think I'm just going to reset this to the way it was, which was something like this, I think. Now, but yeah, but I wonder where they put that, or, oh, my cat is deciding to interrupt. Hey, kitty, want to say hi? Don't spill my tea. Here, you guys can, I don't know if you can see. See if she reaches her iPad. There she is. Oh. She definitely likes to jump in front of my tablet whenever she wants attention, but I'm gonna put her on the floor for now. All right, so I can't find where that is, but I know it is somewhere in here where it basically says round mask corners. I don't know if it's down here. I don't use it all the time, so that's why I don't know exactly where I put it. It's hey Frankie, I'm after the it's not a plugin. It's like a maybe it's like a command that basically what it does is it rounds the corners of the masks. So you can draw a square mask and then you can just say round the corners and it does it. And I thought it was either a plugin that was with miscellaneous utilities, so it was here. It was definitely a plugin that came with ZBrush. So it might have been miscellaneous utilities, or it also could have been a script, but it's not here. And I can't remember where it is. Shoot. Yeah, if somebody can Google that would be awesome. I'm not going to interrupt my flow here, but if somebody can Google it and find that out. Because what that does, it kind of gives you some, like if it sees some sharp edges, it rounds them out, and it's just a nice little, kind of utility to use. It's called like round mask corners or something like that. All right, well, I'm going to give it one last look here to see if I can find it. I would say they would put it in this menu over here, but I can't find it. Maybe they took it out. Yeah, it's not any of these. It's just called round mask corners. Okay, I'm going to look at, just in case I'm blind, I'm going to look at the Z plugins one more time. See if it's there. Yeah, I think it was in here. Oh, it's macro. That's right. It's a macro. That's right. That's right. That's right. Under here, under macros, there is, I have a bunch of my own here. But it's this, it's in here. Thank you, whoever found it. Frankie, I appreciate it. Apply round corners to mask. This is it. And I'm trying to see as I move my mouse to it, if it is anywhere in my UI, because it should light up and it's not. Okay, I guess I took it out of my UI. So good thing to do here is just to go in and customize my config and enable customize, and then let's pick that. So again, it's under macros. I knew it was either a macro script or a plugin, so it was a macro, and it's this one, apply round corners to mask. So I'm just going to move that out into my UI so I have it over here, and yeah, and then I'm just going to go to preferences, store config, and disable customize. Okay, so now I've got that. So here's the mask, and if I apply it, it cleans it up a little bit. I don't think it did much, but it does definitely add a little bit more to it. Okay, so let's just masks. Okay, so now that I'm done here, I'm just going to do one blur and then flip it and do one more blur over there, flip it again, and then let's see what this looks like. Okay, that's much better. Yeah. right? And if I just apply a little bit of smoothing to this, so I'm just going to go to deformation and just do a like a polish of 1, maybe a little bit more. It gives me a little bit cleaner edges. Oh, like that. All right, so now I've got this piece like that, and if I bring up the cylinders, that's what it does. Now I might need to move the cylinders around just to accommodate what I did. So let's go to that view. I think it was view 3. Let's go to the cylinders. I should have done this before I put the cylinders in. So easy enough. I'll just delete the cylinders, do it over. Actually, I don't even need to delete it. I'll just go back to this piece right here, solo it out, and still kind of smoothing out some of the lines here. And I think over here is where I don't really think it's doing a very good job. So I'm going to increase this mask. And for a lot of these things, the way I logically figure out how they work is just by looking at manufactured things. And the reason why they do this is to make this stronger so it doesn't bend. It helps if you make these middle lines here the same thickness. So see this over here, this will fix it. The apply rounded corners will fix some of that. All right, and then this top part is kind of a little bit, yeah, it's always good if you can use alphas for this as well. You get cleaner, better lines. Okay, I think this is good enough. All right, let's just go ahead and do this again. Apply round corners. All right, and we want to blur this a bit more. Let's see here. Cool, if this was the same angle as that. And for this top part, I think I'm just going to do a straight line. Okay. All right, so it's always a good idea to blur before you push in. Now, one thing that would also be cool is if there was a way to not only be pushing these in, but also pushing them, you know, I think that's what the blurring will do. So I just need to blur it more. So masking, and let's shrink the mask a little bit and then blur it. Here we go. And this will give me more of that thing that I'm looking for, which is more of that kind of angle. The more you blur it, the more softer these would be. I think this is too much. Let's take some of the blurring back. And that's too little. One more blur. Let's grow the mask. Oops, not grow all, but grow it. And let's sharpen it a bit. Okay, I think this should do it right here. No, so I kind of, let's try one step of blur. One more step. I think that's good. All right, there we go. All right, and then I was going to redo the cylinders, so I'm just going to redo them. I'm going to figure out a good brush size. Oh, does this have multiple subdivision levels now? It does. It has 3. Delete the higher subdivision levels. Here we go. Let's turn symmetry off. Put that there. Something like that. All right, so now I can use Control again to create a version of these cylinders where it kind of works with my current thing that I did. Paneling. These might be too big. This isn't really exactly CAD CAM per se, but it definitely works. Okay, so again, I'm using Control to just create these cylinders. And I haven't decided if these are going to be subtractive or additive. At this point, I'm kind of leaning more towards additive. Okay, and right now these are included in the same subtool, so they will obey the home stage thing that I set up earlier. All right, so that's kind of going to be the arm piece, more or less. And let's go ahead and take a look at it on the entire mech. Oh wow, we're out of time. Man, today flew by. Okay, unsolo that. I guess I don't need those previous cylinders. I can get rid of them. Right, and then let's go back to view 1 where we have everything off of solo. There it is. And where is our shield? This is the one we just did right here. And I'm going to switch that. Where did that home stage thing go? That's weird. Okay, I can just do it from the geometry menu where we saw it earlier. So geometry, home stage. Oh, somehow that got erased. Well, that's not a big problem. I can set a new home stage now and then bring up my previous arms and then match it. Oh, man, that's why it didn't work. I was on the wrong subtool, and this one does have a home stage. It does. Yep, switch stage. So this is what it's going to look like on the arm, and I'm happy with that. So that's good. I think I wanted to basically just create this piece, and I did. We also worked on the head today. Not a lot of work, but kind of setting the stage for the rest. Next time we'll work on some of the other pieces. So here I like this the way it is. Let's move it back to its home stage, where I will do a little bit more work on it, but for the most part I like what is happening to it. So there's that piece. And just for kicks, we'll go ahead and do a render. So let me just save this before, and then let's set this back to its switch stage, and then mirror and weld it to the other side. And then let's go ahead and bring up what we have in the scene here, which really isn't much. We just have a floor and a guy for reference in size. Let's turn perspective on, something like this. And let's do a test render. I'm going to pick the floor here and put a generic gray fill on it. And then let's go back to a nice blue. Right, just getting an idea of what this new thing that we worked on, the arm is. I'm going to do a close-up, and let's create a little bit more drama with a maybe 50mm view here. Okay, all right, so we're getting, so this is looking good, the head is looking good. I think I'm kind of happy with what I got there, and I think this would be a good place to stop. I will open it up for questions before I end this session. So if you guys have any questions, this would be a good time to ask it. Again, I'll be on in a couple of weeks. I'm on every other Friday. And this Friday coming up, I'm doing a stream on my own. Unfortunately, I don't know how to tell you to subscribe to it. I'm going to be doing it on Twitch first. So first thing I will do is go ahead and stream this on Twitch, and then once the Twitch stream is done, I think I can download it, and then I'll post it to YouTube afterwards. So I'm not going to do them simultaneously. I do, Maxon gives me the ability to do both at the same time, but individually, I'm just going to do it on Twitch first, and then I'm going to save the recording on my YouTube channel. So the goal here is to do 1 week streaming with Maxon and the next week not. And the reason why I'm choosing to do it that way is because the week I'm not streaming with Maxon, I might use some different tools that are not Maxon tools, other software or whatever. But for the most part, it's all mostly going to be ZBrush. And it's going to be similar. So for example, on this project, I'll be doing this mech, and on that project, I might be doing something else. So I'll have 2 simultaneous projects going on at the same time. And the only reason why I'm capable of doing this is because work has been kind of slow. So that gives me the opportunity to stream more, and I'm trying to figure out a good way to monetize streaming as well. So that's kind of why I'm doing a separate stream. So try and tune in if you can, and if you are not able to, that's fine. The videos will be on my YouTube channel after the streaming is done. All right, so with that, I want to wish everybody a good day, night, whatever time of day you have there. I appreciate you guys watching this live. I know a lot of you probably don't watch it live, watch it after the fact, and that's fine too. But if you want to ask questions or you want to interact, live is kind of a good way to go. All right, with that, thanks again for watching, and happy ZBrushing, everybody. We'll see you in a couple of weeks, or you'll see me next Friday.